My brain is literally melting and exploding with rage whenever Korean cinema tries to sell us the same old, rotten corpses packaged as some revolutionary blockbuster. But 2026's The Colony manages to turn the genre's dirty pockets inside out so hard that it leaves you sitting there with your jaw on the floor. Director Yeon Sang-ho, who once made the entire world cry a river over the full-throttle Train to Busan, is back to treat us to another session of pure cinematic violence against common sense and the laws of physics. You know, it's that exact feeling when you show up to a theatre for a midnight screening at Sundance, expecting some tedious indie social drama about class inequality disguised as a horror flick, but instead you get a wild, neon, spit-firing roller coaster where the infected move like they spent their whole lives training in the world's elite circus, only to later decide to eat their trainers.
They synchronize perfectly. Their acrobatic stunts would make any Olympic champion pale, and their collective mind operates tighter than NASA's cosmic clocks. The director explicitly stated that these creatures are the true main characters of his new blockbuster, and he didn't lie for a single second. Watching this massive, churning mass of human flesh writhe, bend at impossible angles, and coordinate its attacks based on scent, vision, and some sort of internal GPS is simultaneously disgusting and incredibly beautiful. The physics of their movement is terrifying to the bone because there is an eerie, unnatural grace to this chaos. You look at the screen and realize that humanity is doomed simply because our bodies just don't bend that way. Right in the middle of this fleshy ballet, Jun Ji-hyun tries to survive playing a biology professor, and her screen presence is perhaps the only solid reason to believe our species stands a chance. She radiates such raw charisma and ice-cold composure that her energy literally punches through the screen, making you forget about certain writing stupidities. She's not just some scientist running around screaming. She uses her academic knowledge to dissect the enemy's behavioral patterns on the fly, turning every skirmish into a chess match where severed limbs take the place of pieces. The only problem is that the opposing forces and the main antagonist are written to be so overwhelmingly powerful, massive, and invincible that the power balance goes to hell right from the start. The film catastrophically lacks some brutal, fearless, badass supporting character who could stand as a human shield and hand out uppercuts left and right, like we saw in the director's past works. The zombies here are too strong, too smart, and too well organized, which is why the atmosphere of hopelessness sometimes starts to feel suffocating, leaving the audience without even a ghost of a chance for a happy ending. We are basically locked in a concrete box with a bunch of furious cannibal acrobats, and someone just flipped the light switch off. The plot drives forward at the speed of a missile, leaving no time for a sip of soda or deep philosophical reflections on the fate of civilization. The storytelling is packed so tight that if you turn away to grab a handful of popcorn, you've already missed a couple of key mutations and 3 massive action set pieces. Sure, there is room for improvement. There are some rough edges in the script, and a few subplots feel cut off mid-sentence. But this relentless drive redeems absolutely every sin. The soundtrack works like a perfect clockwork mechanism, exploding with heavy, dirty beats exactly at those seconds when the level of on-screen madness crosses all reasonable boundaries. Every audio track is woven into the narrative so masterfully that you feel this mounting pressure right on your skin. Huge credit must go to the extras, because those thousands of nameless actors create such a dense, tangible nightmare on screen, the likes of which the genre hasn't seen in a very long time. Their large-scale choreography is a pure triumph of directorial control over chaos, where the crowd works tighter than a Broadway ensemble, and every single extra knows exactly at what angle to snap their neck to make the shot look as spectacular and terrifying as possible. When another massive clash unfolds on screen, you catch yourself thinking that Koreans have learned to make genre cinema with a special, twisted kind of style. This isn't a sterile Hollywood product. where all the seams are neatly polished over with CGI, but a live, gritty, sweaty spectacle that smells of rust and fear. The unique sensory mechanics of the monsters, their gradual intellectual development, the detailed backstory, all of this expands the boundaries of conventional sci-fi horror to the scale of a fully realized new universe. The movie leaves you with a strange, sticky aftertaste. You realize you just watched a wild, at times completely trashy amusement park ride, but it's executed with such a transcendent level of craftsmanship that you immediately want to re-watch the entire library of Korean zombie classics. It keeps your eyes glued to the screen, forcing you to experience pure, childlike delight at how inventively the creators approach the annihilation of mankind. If you were looking for the perfect way to spend an evening destroying your nerve cells to the accompaniment of crunching bones and insane visual imagery, then this colony is waiting for you. And trust me, you definitely won't make it out alive.